We thank you and know you have to rush off.
I appreciate
So
it.
go make that speech well. We're depending on him. Ms. McLaughlin, I want to come to you first. Talk to me a minute about how it made you feel when you read the New York Times expose and you felt like it was confirmed to you that you had been beat because somebody was a cheater. And here you were putting your heart and soul into your training, and you get to that moment to get that medal, and it's not there because somebody cheated you out of it.
My fellow patriots, welcome back to American Resolve, the channel where we fight lies with facts, cowardice with courage, and globalist propaganda with unapologetic truth. Now, I just watched the latest congressional hearing about the Chinese doping scandal and WADA's blatant betrayal of clean athletes. And I've got a lot to say because this isn't just about swimming. This is about justice, honor, and the complete breakdown of trust in international institutions that are supposed to protect our American athletes. So buckle up, because this is going to be a takedown of the corrupt elites who think rules don't apply to them, especially if you're backed by the CCP.
Yeah, thank you for your question. It was devastating, honestly. I remember getting the call from USADA letting me know that the New York Times article was going to break, and I was just so taken aback and heartbroken. And I think I spent a lot of my career trusting in the powers that be, and it was really sad to find out that that's not someone who could be trusted, meaning WADA. I think a lot of my teammates and I were just pretty let down. And I think, at the end of the day, all I can control was myself and my own race, and my teammates could only control their part of the race. So that's something to kind of hold on to, but I think just pretty devastating, heartbreaking all around. But thank you.
Yes. Mr. Tigert, as we've mentioned before, as soon as the allegations came to light, I got a letter out to WADA demanding to know why they felt like they could ignore this doping, and their answer back to me was insufficient. And of course, they blame everyone but themselves, which is not a surprise to us. And they even said that there was no basis to challenge that contamination and that the source was TMZ. And so there you go. We find out, of course, that they have lied about this, and I know you've reviewed their response. I want you to just talk for a minute about why it is completely implausible that the Chinese swimmers were unwittingly contaminated.
Thank you for the question, Senator Blackburn, and for your efforts, including the introduction of the Restore Confidence WADA Act that's before this subcommittee. Listen, I think we have attempted to get answers, just as you all have, to what really happened. We have seen what they've produced, which is very little. They appointed a very limited review of their own actions. And you don't have to take it from me. You can take it from what he determined. And he determined that they did not prove contamination and that it was just as plausible to be intentional use. You then couple that with the fact that WADA did no investigation, just blindly accepted the factual scenario that was provided by the Chinese. And in fact, months before these positive tests showed up on their desk, they had interviewed a defector, a whistleblower from China, who had indicated to them that TMZ was being given in a systemic fashion to athletes, but yet WADA leaders never brought in their independent investigative unit. They have a 16-person, very experienced investigative unit. They were not involved at all with investigating the facts of this case. TMZ is a prescription medication in some countries. It does not just show up in the kitchen. It's unbelievable to think that, Tinkerbell showed up and sprinkled it within the kitchen. The Chinese didn't find anyone using it. They didn't find it in the food. And the amount of food, the amount of contaminated drink you would have to actually eat or consume to get these levels was a few micrograms. I think we did the analysis based on the information that's out there. It's like 11 pounds of food and over, I think, 7 gallons of liquid in order to get the levels. And to think that Chinese athletes at the top of their game are gonna do that type of diet the day before an event or the day after one event before the next day's race is just absolutely ludicrous. And it's why we've asked for the questions. Why hasn't this followed the process that and the protocols that are in place?
Let me ask you this, kind of following on to that. Why do you think that WADA thought they could intimidate the U.S. and the U.S. Olympic Committee and the Salt Lake City officials, and why was there a capitulation there?
Listen, I think it's what happened in Paris, I think you're referring to, I think it's Exhibit A of the value and the importance of independence in anti-doping enforcement. You have the perception that the IOC leveraged the giving of the Olympic Games in exchange for us bowing down, as Senator Cruz mentioned, to the supreme authority of WADA. Those shouldn't be commingled whatsoever. Now, we've been assured from the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee that it's meaningless. There was no quid pro quo in their mind, and we must give credit to the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee because they did make the independent decision to create USADA. You've heard from some of the other witnesses about the effective model of independence. They took the courage back in late 1999, early 2000 to say we're gonna be involved to help fund, but we're not gonna be involved from a decision-making standpoint. We're gonna remove the fox from guarding the hen house here in the United States, and we think, and Professor Kohler testified to it, we think that's made all the difference in enforcement. And unfortunately, that's not what has happened and occurred with the IOC and with the World Anti-Doping Agency.
All right, 5 minutes to the gentleman from Utah.
Our athletes were cheated, and nobody did a damn thing. Let's start with what Ms. McLaughlin said. A young American athlete who trained her whole life for one moment, only to be robbed of a medal, not because she wasn't good enough, but because someone else cheated. And what's worse? The people who were supposed to stop cheaters, the World Anti-Doping Agency, let it happen. That's not just negligence, that's betrayal. Can you imagine putting your blood, sweat, and tears into something for years, only to lose to someone who had the government pumping banned substances into their system? And WADA knew it. They had the evidence, and they covered it up. WADA, a tool for the global elite, not a guardian of integrity. Let me be clear. WADA is not just incompetent, it is complicit. When the head of USADA, our own anti-doping agency, sent a letter demanding answers, WADA responded with finger-pointing and denial, said there was no basis to challenge the contamination. And get this, they cited TMZ as a source. TMZ? Are you kidding me? You've got the health, careers, and reputations of world-class athletes on the line, and your official defense is, we read it on TMZ. What an absolute joke. This isn't oversight, this is a coordinated effort to let China off the hook. Why? Because globalists and their institutions are terrified of offending the Chinese Communist Party. They had a whistleblower months before and still did nothing. Now here's the kicker, folks. WADA knew about this before the Chinese doping incident even broke. A Chinese defector came forward months in advance, warning them that TMZ, a banned heart medication often used for endurance enhancement, was being distributed systematically to athletes in China. And what did WADA do? Nothing. Not a damn thing. They didn't open an investigation. They didn't even involve their own 16-member investigative unit. Instead, they took China's word for it. No questions asked. Let me ask you this. If it was an American athlete who tested positive, do you think WADA would have said it's fine, probably just contaminated food? Of course not. They would have dropped the hammer and revoked medals within hours. The contaminated food excuse is a lie. WADA claims these Chinese swimmers just accidentally ingested TMZ through contaminated food. But science doesn't lie, and neither do basic facts. It would have taken 11 pounds of food or 7 gallons of liquid to produce the levels of TMZ found in their system. What athlete in peak condition is going to scarf down 11 pounds of contaminated mystery meat the night before a race? Are you kidding me? It's not just implausible, it's laughable. It's insulting to our intelligence. The only people who believe that lie are those who want to believe it because they're scared to confront the truth. Where was the IOC? Bowing to the CCP, that's where. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the International Olympic Committee. Senator Blackburn brought up a powerful point. Did the IOC leverage the Olympic Games as a bargaining chip to get the U.S. to stop pressing for accountability? Let's be honest, we all know how this game works. China has money, China has power, and the IOC wants both. The American people want clean sport. The IOC wants full stadiums and big broadcast deals. And when push comes to shove, they side with the CCP every time. This is exactly why global institutions like the IOC and WADA can no longer be trusted. They're infected with the same rot as the UN, the WHO, and every other organization where China holds the purse strings. USADA, the model for what works. Now let me give credit where it's due. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee had the guts back in 1999 to do the right thing. They set up USADA to operate independently from government interference and corporate influence. They said, we'll help fund it, but we won't control it. That's the American way. Checks and balances, clear lines of accountability, and no fox guarding the henhouse. This is the model the rest of the world should follow, but they won't because then their corruption would be exposed. And next early S case, this isn't about sports, it's about American sovereignty. Patriots, I need you to hear me on this. This is not just about medals. This is not just about doping. This is about American sovereignty. It's about whether our athletes, our citizens, and our country will continue to be manipulated, gaslit, and robbed on the international stage by corrupt institutions that owe more to Beijing than to truth. We're watching a global pattern unfold where rules don't apply to China and everyone else has to fall in line. The Biden administration won't stand up. The IOC won't stand up. WADA sure as hell won't stand up. So we have to. We must fight back, now. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, or independent. If you believe in fairness, if you believe in clean sport, if you believe that hard work should never lose to corruption, then this is your fight. We need to demand full investigations. We need Congress to pass the Restore Confidence in WADA Act. We need to cut funding to any global institution that bows to China. And most importantly, we need to expose the truth every single day. Tired of the lies? Then don't just sit there. Stand up and fight back. Like this video, share it with every American who believes in justice. Subscribe to American Resolve for more truth the media won't tell you. And drop a comment below. Should the U.S. withdraw from WADA and create a new global anti-doping body led by America? Until next time, stay strong, stay free, and as always, God bless our athletes, God bless our warriors, and God bless the United States of America.